screen.
Okay. Just remind me when we take a break to pause it.
Okay.
Do you want to wait for Mr. Figlia to sign in? Star sent him the Zoom link.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
I haven't gotten the Zoom link yet. If somebody sent it to me.
Yeah, Star sending you the Zoom link.
Rick, if you want to just start on phone and then switch to Zoom when you get it, that'd be great.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I'll just put myself on mute so you can kind of prove
Sure.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Bear, we've met before this litigation started, usually on the same side on the political fundraisers, but my name's Ed Fleming and I represent Mr. Underhill in this matter. And I'm assuming Joe's not going to be here for.
I don't think so, yeah.
For.
I have no idea, yeah.
Okay, all right. You've attended some depositions, probably in this case and others, but you understand the basic purpose of the deposition.
Yes.
I'm going to be asking you questions here today regarding what you know, as well as kind of insulating what you don't know about issues that are or may be relevant to this action. And not that you need to be under oath to tell the truth. I always let people know I'm not trying to insult them, but you understand you've taken an oath here today.
Yes.
And that it is a third-degree felony to give false testimony at oath.
Yes.
If I ask you a question that you don't understand, would you ask me to repeat it?
Yes.
Would you agree not to answer a question that you do not understand?
Yes.
You have filed an action against the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners and Doug Underhill in both, as I recall, both his official capacity as well as his individual capacity as a commissioner for Escambia County. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you have settled that action with the Escambia County Board of County Commissioners.
Yes.
Is that correct? In terms of,
from what I understand, for the most part, except for Mr. Underhill, Commissioner Underhill in his official capacity, is still part of the county, correct? Just so I understand.
okay, I've never quite understood that, but your understanding is as good as mine.
Okay.
One of the actions that you filed against them is we kind of abbreviated as a 1983 action, and that's an action for a civil rights violation. You understand in general that you filed that action against Mr. And when I say Mr. Underhill, can we just say it's either in his official capacity or individual capacity, unless I ask you to distinguish?
Yes.
And I will from time to time ask you to distinguish. What actions do you claim that Mr. Underhill took to deprive you of a civil right?
Well, I think there's many, but as an example, he has blocked me on his social media pages where he discusses public business, where he creates posts and shares them both on his own pages that he controls and within groups to discuss county business. And he blocks me and he's hidden comments.
And what right do you think that has deprived you of?
Check to cause of inclusion.
The ability to have full discussion about the business which he brings up, county business.
And you often appear at county commission meetings, is that correct?
I do seldom, I mean, often, but sure.
Do
often, I guess.
Do you or any company in which you are involved hire lobbyists to put positions before the county commission?
No.
And you personally appeared before the county commission to advocate a position?
Yes.
And
Not related to my business, but related to, well, let me back up. Yes.
And has anyone ever prevented you from doing so?
At the county commission meetings?
Right.
No, sir.
Do you are you given the same amount of time that anyone else is to discuss matters?
Yes.
Has anyone ever prevented you from attending a town hall type meeting involving one or more commissioners?
Like a publicized town hall somewhere?
Right.
No.
And I'm just trying to narrow things down. Your allegation of deprivation of a civil right is the right to comment on social media posts on Mr. Underhill's social media page or pages. Would that be a good summary? Because I just want to try to narrow it down.
Well, maybe I need a better explanation of your question. It seemed like you're asking me
Okay.
for a legal opinion or something.
Sure. Has Mr. Underhill ever prohibited you from speaking and expressing your public opinion, your opinion on any area other than social media?
No.
Okay, and on social media, you understand that Mr. Underhill, because you've sat in on the depositions and everything, sat in on a one-day trial we had on a public records issue, but as you understand, Mr. Underhill maintains different types of Facebook pages.
Yes.
And one of those pages is the Doug Underhill commissioner page.
Commissioner Doug Underhill.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Commissioner Doug Underhill page first. And on the Commissioner Doug Underhill page, what evidence, if any, do you have that Mr. Underhill has excluded you personally, not as part of a group exclusion, but excluded you personally from commenting on that page?
Was the question, how do I know that he
Yeah,
has done that?
what evidence do you have that he has excluded you from commenting on that page? Objection.
Because we were friends on Facebook, on that page, on the commissioner page. He has not excluded me from being able to make post comments on that page. He's excluded me from being able to engage in dialogue on that page with the other, within the dialogue and the discussion that he's created.
So you can view the page and read what is on the page just like anybody else can, right?
No,
Okay, tell me how it differs from.
because he uses filtering with a list of words to filter out comments that he's set up. Anyone who uses those words, their comments will only be shown to people they're friends with on Facebook, that they have that friend connection. And so if other people that are not my friends on Facebook are making comments on his posts and they make a comment with those words that he's chosen to filter out, I will not see those. And so, and I may have a friend on Facebook who may be friends with one of those people that I am not, and they may see their comment. So it blocks me from being able to fully engage in that entire conversation because I don't know what other people are saying.
Doesn't it block anyone who uses words that are on that list?
It blocks their comment from other people who are not their friends on Facebook from seeing them. But other people who are their friends on Facebook can still see their comment.
Same as you.
If I'm not friends with them and you are friends with them as an example, you can see the comment and you can engage in that dialogue that they are commenting about and I cannot. So it is not the same. It's different.
You hired a IT person who was given access to Mr. Underhill's Facebook pages for purposes of extracting information. Is that correct?
Objection.
No.
You did not. Mr. Stephen Reyes wasn't hired by you to extract information from Mr. Underhill's Facebook page.
He was hired by me to go be a witness to Clark Partington Hart extracting that information, but he did not extract any information from those Facebook pages.
After the Clark Partington Hart extracted files, did you not have someone examine Mr. Underhill's Facebook page for purposes of coming up with any list of words or any settings that he may have employed?
An objection as it calls for a legal conclusion and it evades attorney work product. So what the attorneys did or what a consulting expert did is not their scope.
Your objection's been noted. You've
May I
you've
ask
testified
a
as to a list of words that Mr. Underhill uses. What are those words?
I don't have them in front of me.
Uh,
There's a lot of, I remember congratulations spelled with a T and congratulations spelled with a D instead of a T. I don't recall all the other ones. If I had those settings in front of me, I could point to it.
Okay.
Can I say one thing? There's a little hand. I don't know how, I've never hosted a Zoom meeting. Does that mean he wants to come in? Because we were waiting on Rick to. No, I'm sorry. Please, I just saw that.
Are we off the record? I'm listening in on the phone call. I'm just gonna come in over this during a break, but I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry for the interruption.
So that list of words, you've seen a list of words,
Yes,
and who compiled that list of words?
they came from the download from Facebook, from
Okay.
Mr. Underhill's Facebook.
And who did the download?
Object form, which one?
There were two different downloads, and I don't know, there was the two different people who did the download. One was Clark Partington Hart, that the county paid for, and then we paid for X1 software company to do a download, but it didn't go directly to us. We didn't have access to be able to do that, as I recall.
But you've seen a list.
I have,
Does the list have multiple words on
it does.
it? Does the words on that list include David Bear?
No, it does not.
Does it include commonly used words like is, and, but?
I believe it did.
If there is a list of words that exclude people, would you agree that it would exclude anyone who uses those words?
No,
And how would the screener know that it was David Bear using is, and, but versus Ed Fleming using is, and, but?
I don't think it would do that. But to answer your question, it would not be the same. So when it filters a word, it filters the word that is in the comment, but it still shares that comment with people who are friends with the commentor, person making the comment. So it's not filtered or removed for those people who are friends with that person. So it's still seen by everyone on that they're friends with on Facebook. So the folks that are not friends with them can't see that, and it's removed from their view.
We're talking about the Doug Underhill, Commissioner Doug Underhill page right now. Correct. I understand it.
Yes.
The, is that list, where did you obtain that list?
Like I said a few minutes ago, one of those downloads.
Okay, either the one that was by
Yes.
Clark Partington or the one that was by X1.
Correct.
And you paid for the one that was X1.
Correct.
Is there more than one page of what I'll call exclusionary words?
More than one page?
Yeah. I mean, do they all fit on one page?
I believe so, yes.
Are there more than 10 words?
I don't recall.
But you have that document in your possession that would have those words.
I have that document somewhere. I don't have it with me today.
Do you know whether that document's ever been supplied to Mr. Underhill?
I do not. Well, let me back up. No, I do not know. I would assume that because the download went to him before it came to us, that it was supplied to him. But I don't know for sure that he actually received it or if it went to you directly, not to him directly.
And on the Commissioner Doug Underhill page, would you agree that there's a specific reference on that page that it's intended to be one-way communication?
I read where he now has that as, I forget what it's called, but basically his, in the bio that he says it, or whatever it's called, that it is intended for a one-way communication, but it has not always been that way. He's changed it. He's changed it multiple times.
When did he change that?
I don't remember exactly when. I think it was in 2019, but I don't recall.
So from 2019 forward, if you're remembering that date right, I understand this is not a memory contest. There's probably some tangible evidence out there when any changes were made that at least the expressed intent for the Commissioner Doug Underhill page, and that's the only one we're talking about right now, was a one-way communication.
Objection as it calls for him to speculate.
Don't key the witness on things. If you got an objection as to form, state your objection.
That's what I'm trying to do.
You're objecting as to form. All other objections are reserved for trial.
No, thank you very much. I'm objection and I'm stating why there's a problem with the form. Okay, so I am objecting, saying this is calling its form, calling him to speculate on what somebody else is saying or their belief is.
Right. You agreed at the beginning, if I ask you a question you don't understand, would you ask me to repeat it?
I will.
Okay. And so if you don't understand the question, ask me to repeat it, rephrase it, and you have on at least one occasion that I can remember. My question, could you read my question back? And I hate to have to do that, but
So from 2019 forward, if you remember that date right, and I understand this is not a memory contest, probably some tangible changes are made, at least expressed intent from the Commissioner Doug Underhill page. That's the only one we're talking about right now, a one-way communication.
I don't know what his intent was. I know that he participated in the dialogue from October 2018, as I recall, when he created the page, to whenever he decided to quit doing that. I don't know what his intent was. If I could speculate, but I don't think you wanted to do that today.
well, sometimes we can, and I don't, but we can, if somebody tells you what their intent is in writing, you know what that is. The intent in writing, at least from some point forward, you believe that was 2019, was for it to be one-way communication as expressed on the page.
As I recall it being expressed on the page, was the original intent of the page was to be a one-way dialogue, like a bulletin. I remember him saying that.
Okay.
But it wasn't acted that way. He was making comments, he was making posts, he was commenting in the post, back and forth dialogue with folks.
When?
So
I mean, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
get some dates before pre-2019.
certainly definitely before then, but I don't know exactly what date that he changed that and he started acting differently on there. But he used that page to comment in other groups post that change. So he was making comments in other public groups about county business using the commissioner page, as I recall. And so it was confusing on what his intention is when he's doing it different ways.
Well, if he's got a list of terms that if those terms are used in a post, it's screening the post. Would you agree that's not a screening based on favorable versus unfavorable comments, but based on the words used?
No,
You wouldn't agree.
I would not agree.
Okay. Do you think that that Mr. Underhill used a group of words that were intended to screen out unfavorable comments, but allow favorable comments?
No, I think he wanted to filter out, using those words, filter out comments to limit the discussion that was happening in that post.
To anyone who used those, to people who did not use those terms. I mean, if the terms were screening people out, the only people who could get a comment through is somebody who didn't use one of those terms, right?
No, because those terms, those comments still got through to the people that are on your friends list. So if you made a comment and we were Facebook friends and you made a comment with using those terms that Commissioner Underhill set up to be filtering terms, words, it would still get through to me. I would still see your comment and when I look at that post. So it was still getting through. It just, if you were not Facebook friends with JJ, as an example, JJ would not see that. So it filtered and limited his ability to see what comments in that example, but not mine. So you and I could have a back and forth dialogue in the comment post, in the comment section that Commissioner Underhill had created. But you could not with JJ, limiting the ability for JJ to engage in our dialogue.
So if you and I were friends on Facebook and I tried to post a post on Doug Underhill's commissioner page, and I used is, and, but, any one of the terms that were filtered, it wouldn't show up on on Doug Underhill commissioner page, but you could get it. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. You could not make a post on the Underhill's Facebook page. He can make the post and you can comment on his post. It would allow you to make that comment. If you used one of the words that he has set up to filter out, and you and I were friends, I would see your comment on his post, on his page, commissioner page.
But he wouldn't.
Who, Commissioner Underhill?
Right.
No, he would definitely see it.
Okay. Then who screened out? I mean, where is the screening taking place if Mr. Underhill puts a comment on his Doug Underhill page? Intended,
He makes a
as you
post.
put, based on his page, he makes a post, which at some point became at least the expressed intent for one-way communication. And I try to make a comment on that post, and I use one of those restricted words, is, and, but, words, then my comment screened. Is that correct? It doesn't show
only
up.
Only for people who are not your friend on Facebook. For those who are your friends on Facebook, they can see that comment.
Well,
It is not screened.
Would the comment show up on Doug Underhill commissioner page if I posted it and I used one of those terms?
It would show up to the administrator, which is Commissioner Doug Underhill, who created the post and administrates the page. So he would see it. And anyone who is on your friends list on Facebook that went to that page to see the post would see your comment there.
Okay.
But those who are not your friends on Facebook would not see that.
Well, let's take it one step at a time. First of all, do you have a social media page on Facebook?
Yes,
And do you have friends on that Facebook page?
yes,
Who decides whether someone's your friend or not?
I do.
Okay. And you have the right to exclude someone that are not, accept someone as a friend. Would that be a correct statement?
That's correct.
And would you agree that under you have a right for free association in that regard? You can choose your friends, both personally as well as on social media.
Yes,
Okay. And do you believe that their friends can choose who they friend and who they don't friend?
yes,
Do you believe that you give up that right of association when you become an elected official?
I believe if you are talking about, if you are a county elected official in this example, and you were talking about county business, then I think there are restrictions. I don't know because I'm not a lawyer, but I think there are restrictions on who you can and cannot allow in. I don't think you have to let them be your friend, but that's not on that commission. We're still talking about the Commissioner Doug Underhill page.
Right.
It is not a function of allowing friends versus not allowing friends on that page. You like or dislike the page. Many people like the page. The commissioner, I don't know if he blocks people from liking the page or not. But because I like the page, then I can engage in the dialogue on that page. I don't know if that's a requirement on that page or not, that he has to accept the like. But it's not about being friends or not friends. It's on that type of page. He has created a page that is I can't remember if it was public official or a politician page. There's a type of page that you can create. And I know, I recall he is under one of those types of, he's created that type of page. And so it's a totally different setting or accepting of, it's not an accepting of friends or blocking friends.
Well, what do you know about what settings or restrictions that Doug Underhill has placed on the Doug Underhill Commissioner page? What do you know about that and how do you know it?
Uh, So I'm not an IT expert, but from what I have seen of those settings that we received through one of those two downloads that we discussed, I have seen that he has a profanity filter in place to try to filter out, and you can set that at different levels. And I believe he had it, as I recall, had it at the strong setting. And then he had a list of words that he listed that he also wanted to filter out. And from what I understand, there are other options because under the type of page he has, he cannot block anyone from making comments as a general setting. But he had a couple of choices. One was to put in a group of words to filter out those comments. And so then it acts where it only filters those comments out from people who are not on that person making the comments friends list. So some people see them, some people do not. So it limits that discussion in that discussion section, the comment section. And the other choice was to block comments from in the comment section from anyone except the person making the post, who is the administrator, or someone else that was tagged in that post. And so if no one is tagged in the post, then the only person who would be able to make comments in the comment section of that post would be the administrator, who would be Commissioner Underhill. So he had a different choice, and he chose to go with the filter words so that some people can see some, what I don't know why he did it. I'm not trying to speak to his intention, but the result is where people can see comments and engage in the dialogue that is happening, but some others cannot.
And that's based in, at least in part, on the person who's making the comments choice of friends.
I think it's because of the use of the filtering words has created the scenario where all of the readers cannot see all of the comments.
If all the readers were friends with one another, they could.
I would assume, yes.
Okay. And so the fact that they can't all see all the comments has to do with individual decisions on who their friends are.
I don't think so, no.
And then if that's not correct, why is that not correct?
Because I think it has to do with the words, the filter words. If that filter was not in place, then everyone would be able to see it.
Sure, but with the filter in place, even with the filter in place, if everyone was friends, everyone would see it.
Yeah, I guess so, but everybody's not friends.
So the fact that everybody can't see it has to do with the individual's choice to choose who their friends are.
No, I don't think so.
Well, can you explain that answer? Because it doesn't seem to follow, and I just may not be smart enough to understand your answer.
So just because I chose not to be friends with JJ, it's not that non-connection, I guess, the not being friends, that's causing me not to be able to see the comments. The filter is what's causing that.
Okay, well, let's take it back. I think I understand where you're coming from. With no filter, everybody gets to see and everybody gets to comment.
Yes.
Right? With a filter, the people who comment can be seen by the administrator, which is, you said, is Mr. Underhill, and can be seen by that person's friends.
That is correct.
And if somebody can't see it, then it's because they're not the commenter's friend.
Because the filter has created the scenario where the people who are not friends cannot see those comments.
Okay, I understand. So we started with the premise that there was no filter, everybody can see everything. With a filter, then friends can see the comments, but non-friends can't.
Correct. I think the scenario is that people who are friends, like-minded, can see each other's comments about the public business, and those who are not like-minded, that are not friends on social media, cannot engage in the dialogue
Are your only
because of
friends,
those filter words.
are your only friends on social media like-minded?
Mostly, I don't know that I would say I have any one friend that I'm 100% like-minded with.
Okay.
Including my children and wife.
Even with the filter, if a person commented and they were everybody's friend, everybody could see it.
Correct.
So here's my question now, we've got that lined up, is that the fact that not everybody can see my comment on Doug Underhill's page has to do with the fact that not everybody's my friend, and I'm not everybody's friend.
I still don't think, and maybe it's that maybe I'm not explaining it correctly. The filter words is what's creating the scenario.
But the filtered words is what creates the scenario to where only someone's friends can see the comments, right? We've established that based on your testimony.
Yes.
That's what you believe to be the case.
Yes.
Right. So my question is the fact that everybody can't see my comment has to do with two things. We'll put two things in. It has to do with the fact that there's a filter trying to screen out is, and, but, etc. Plus the fact that not everybody in the world's my friend, and I'm not everybody's friend in the world.
That's correct.
Okay. That we communicated on that eventually. The on the filters and settings, you have a list of those somewhere? I think you said you did. Okay. And if somebody was to ask you, please produce your list of settings and filters from the Doug Underhill Commissioner page, you could do that.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the Doug Underhill personal page. And let me first of all ask, do you believe that an elected official, just by virtue of being an elected official, gives up their right to have a personal Facebook page?
Object to the form.
No, I don't believe they give up their right to have a personal page. Do you believe that on the personal page, by virtue of being an elected official, they give up their right to choose their friends?
I believe as an elected official who has a personal page, if they are discussing public business on that page, then it's no longer personal. It becomes about the business that they're elected to take. And if they're blocking people, I believe they're blocking people's access to engage in that discussion.
Well, by blocking people, do you mean not having someone as a friend? Is that what you mean by blocking?
No, there's a difference between, because someone who is not a friend on, if we're speaking strictly about Douglas Underhill page, can still view and comment on his posts. The ones that he does not limit the audience. He limits the audience of posts, but the difference between that not being a friend and being blocked is he actively goes into the settings and blocks a specific person or people.
And on and we've transited to the Doug Underhill personal Facebook page. Do you have any evidence that Mr. Underhill has blocked you based on your political views?
I have a continuing objection to the term.
Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'll have a continuing objection to the term personal page as compared to it's a regular page.
Okay. Mr. Baird, do you understand that Mr. Underhill has a Doug Underhill Commissioner page, and then he has a Doug Underhill, just a Doug Underhill page?
I understand he has a Commissioner Doug Underhill page and a Douglas Underhill page.
Okay.
And I
So-
know that those are distinct.
All right. And so when I'm talking about the personal page, I'm talking about the Douglas Underhill page.
Okay, Douglas-
We,
I understand the Douglas Underhill page.
that's fair enough.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't refer to it as individual.
Okay. Well, let's just try to get some shorthand so we can communicate. And if I talk about Mr. Underhill's page, we know that's Douglas Underhill page, right? I can just
Okay.
call it the Underhill page.
Sure.
And if I'm talking about the Commissioner Underhill page, I'll say Commissioner Underhill page. Would that be a good way of communicating?
That works well. Thank you.
On the Underhill page, let me ask if you've ever aspired to public office.
Ask that again.
Have you ever aspired to running for public office?
No.
I know that you and your dad and mom have been very active in the political affairs of both the community and the nation. And I commend that. If you were to run for public office, what rights of privacy or association do you believe you would give up?
I don't intend to run for public office, so I can't make that assumption.
Well, what rights of freedom of association do you believe that Mr. Underhill gave up by being a county commissioner?
Objection to the extent it causes further inclusion.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What rights, if any, of freedom of association do you believe that Mr. Underhill gave up by virtue of becoming a commissioner?
Would you explain freedom of association so I better understand?
Sure. You have fundraisers at your house on occasion. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you decide who to invite to those fundraisers and not invite to those fundraisers.
No.
If someone that you didn't particularly like, someone who had been a critic of you, your dad, were to come to your house to be entertained, would you have the right to ask them to leave?
I believe I would have the right to ask them to leave, but I believe that if they're there to benefit whatever the fundraiser was benefiting, then I could rise above it and be civil
Sure.
and not do that.
That decision would be yours to make.
Probably as the property owner.
Just as you have the right, as you mentioned earlier, to decide who are your friends on Facebook and who aren't. Correct.
Correct. I'm not a public official.
Sure. And inviting people to dinner, you make the decision of who to invite to dinner and who not to invite to dinner.
My wife does.
Even if you're discussing politics, you still have that right. Correct.
Correct.
If you became a elected public official, would you have the right to invite whomever you wish to a private dinner, even if you discuss politics at the private dinner?
If I became
Yeah.
I don't intend to become one.
I know, but
So
if
you're asking me
if
to
you
make
were,
an
I'm asking
assumption.
you, right? Yeah, I'm asking you hypothetical. If you became an elected official, would you have the right to decide who to invite to a private dinner at your house, even if you were going to be discussing politics?
Yes,
You would have that right,
I would have the right to invite someone to dinner. Yes.
even if you were discussing county business.
If I was discussing it verbally, yes. But it's not, if we're not having like yes.
When you, on your personal Facebook page, do you ever discuss politics?
Yes, with limitations.
And whatever limitations you have, those are the limitations you placed on yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, because I'm appointed to, as the chairman of the Escambia County Tourist Development Council. And I'm also a member of the Triumph Board, Gulf Coast Inc. Board of Directors.
Mhm.
Both of those are public boards that I serve, and any comments or discussion that I would to have on social media about those
Mhm.
would be different than my personal. And so I've chosen not to discuss those topics on social media
Mhm.
because I don't want to create an opportunity where I'm creating a public record that I have to keep track of. And I also do not want to have to worry about the limitations that I might have already set on my page of who restricting audience, et cetera. So I don't do that.
If one of your friends, somebody you allow to be a friend, ask you for your view on some issue that might come before one of those boards, would you have the right, so if you so elected, to respond to their comment?
I would, and that's why I choose not to,
Okay,
because of those reasons I gave a moment ago.
and that's your choice.
Yes.
The, on Mr. Underhill's page, I think we've used that as our terminology to keep from soliciting an objection from your counsel. On his page, have you developed a list of settings on his page to see what those settings were?
Talking about the Douglas Underhill page.
Yes.
Yes, we received a list from Mr. Underhill, Commissioner Underhill, of some of the settings. I can't recall if it was all of the settings or not, but I do recall a list of blocked individuals on this page.
Do you also recall a list of words?
I do not recall seeing a list of words on that page.
On your social media page, do you have a profanity filter?
I don't recall if I have it turned on or not. I know it's a available option that Facebook allows, but I don't know that I have it turned on.
Have you ever excluded anyone from your personal, ever blocked anyone from your personal Facebook page?
No.
You have the right to do that, though. Would that be accurate statement? You have both the power and the right to block anybody you want to block from your personal Facebook page.
I believe I have the power to do it, but whether or not I have the right, I don't know. As an appointed member of those two boards, the Tourist Development Council and Triumph Gulf Coast, I don't talk about the business that comes before those boards. So I believe I have the right, but because I don't fully understand the law, how it relates to that, I choose not to.
What are those two boards again?
Triumph Gulf Coast, Inc. and the Escambia County Tourist Development Council.
Escambia County Tourist Development Council. Now, if you, either one of those boards, if you were to send a text to your wife discussing the business of either one of those boards, would you deem that document to be a public record?
Yes.
Okay. And all texts that you get, that you've sent during your terms on those boards, and we'll talk about what those terms are in a moment, how long you've been on those. Have you retained those as public records?
I do not discuss those things. I do text about those matters.
Okay. Emails. You kept all emails dealing with the business of either one of those council or things that might come before those council?
Yes, I have. I've asked, when I was appointed to the TDC, I asked the county to please create an email specific, that I had a county email address specific for the Tourist Development Council role in my work there, and I direct all emails related to that business to that email address. And the Triumph Gulf Coast, I did the exact same. I have a separate email for the business related to Triumph.
Has
I
anyone,
keep those segregated from all my personal and business emails.
has anyone ever sent you a text, not particularly solicited by you, but has anyone ever sent you a text relating to the business of either one of those council?
Probably.
And what did you do with the text?
Probably deleted it after, because I didn't respond to it.
Okay. And if you don't respond, you didn't deem it to be a public record.
Probably what I did.
In any event, you haven't retained any of those texts.
Correct.
Same, and that's same as to emails. If someone unsolicited unsolicited by you, sent you an email to something other than the specific emails you set up for those two, did you retain that email?
I've retained all emails that come into both of those email accounts because I set those up specifically, and I don't know whether or not I will ever respond to those. I know that I will never respond to text messages because I don't want to have to keep up with those and find them. So I direct people to my email address and for each of those boards, and I retain regardless of whether I've responded or not in case of my desire to ever want to respond to them. I have them.
Okay. But my question was, if somebody sends you an email to either your personal email or one of your business emails having to do with the business of either one of those companies, has that ever happened?
Yes, I respond. I forward it to those specific email addresses, and I respond from that email address to those people to please communicate with me there
Every time?
every time. Because I
The,
do not want to have an issue with that.
have you ever sent a text message to a county commissioner?
Yes,
And which county commissioners have you communicated with by text?
all of the current 5.
Do you know whether all 5 of those have retained your text?
I have no idea.
Did you retain the text that you sent to them?
No.
Do you delete your text as a matter of course?
Many of them, but not all of them. I still have my family and some friends and some other business associates that I keep because there's records in there that I want to refer back to.
But any text to a county commissioner you delete?
Generally, yes. I
By
believe-
generally, that
Well,
means
excuse me, yes,
every time.
yes.
Have you ever sent text to a county commissioner during a commission meeting?
Yes,
And has it been on a matter that was before the commission at the time that you sent the text?
as I recall, sometimes, yes, but not every time.
Which commissioners have you done that with?
All 5.
Have those texts included text asking them to vote a certain way?
Sometimes they were, yes.
Have you ever sent a text to a county commissioner telling them how another county commissioner intended to vote?
No.
No.
Nothing. I don't carry the message. I do not carry the message. I believe that to be a violation of the law.
Okay. And by the law you're talking about the sunshine law.
Yes.
On your, how long have you been doing that, sending text to commissioners during a commission meeting?
I don't know.
For more than a year,
Yes,
more than 5 years?
yes.
Same question as to emails. You ever send an email to a commissioner during a commission meeting?
I don't recall.
Usually do that by text when you do that.
I'm trying to have a dialogue with them while they're in a meeting, yes.
And you consider it to be appropriate for you to have a dialogue with them at a meeting that's not part of that public record? I mean,
I'm
sometimes
not
we
sure
ask,
I understand. the
sometimes we
question.
ask obvious questions, but you've done it. And so my question is, you consider it to be appropriate to have a dialogue with a commissioner during a public meeting that is, that the people at that meeting room don't hear or don't see?
I don't know. I
We-
don't,
you understand that at those meetings, people can sign up to speak, usually for a 3-minute limitation,
Yes.
correct? And so the people who want to express their views to commissioners who don't have their private cell phone numbers would do so through signing up to speak during those 3 minutes, correct?
I would assume, yes.
But you have the private cell phone numbers for all 5 commissioners.
Most of them publicize their phone numbers.
And including their cell phone numbers.
Yes. Commissioner Underhill puts his, I believe, on his social media pages.
Who does?
I believe Commissioner Underhill has put it on his social media page.
And so is it your position that every member of the public has the right to do what you do, is send text messages to commissioners during a meeting, asking them to vote a certain way?
I don't think I get any special privilege.
Have you contributed, you and or your businesses contributed money to various county commission campaigns?
Yes,
And whose campaigns?
all 5 of the
All
commissioners.
5. Is there one commissioner that you've contributed more to than another?
I don't believe so.
Is there one commissioner that you've corresponded with more than another?
One more than another? I don't think so.
And for example, when you're seeking to influence a vote, do you send it to all 5 commissioners or just commissioners that you think would be favorable?
Well, prior to this litigation, all 5 commissioners. But since this litigation, I don't communicate directly about county business with Commissioner Underhill.
The other 4, when you send a text message during a county commission meeting, do you send it to the other 4 or just some subset of the other 4?
You mean like all 4 of them together?
Right.
Yeah.
Usually sending it to one commissioner at a time.
Yes.
And is there one commissioner that you more frequently correspond to in that way? For instance, Mr. Barrett?
No.
You are, but would you agree that you're, I don't want to use smarter than the average bear, since that's your last name, but that you're more
My dad
informed.
might get insulted about that.
You're more informed about politics than you would probably expect the average person to be. You know political workings. You serve on 2 political boards. Your family's been involved in the political scene for years. Would that be a fair statement that you're pretty savvy when it comes to politics?
I'm engaged.
Okay, and being engaged, you understand the workings of the county commission to what I'll call an elevated degree over the general public. Would that be a fair statement?
I think I don't know, because I can't assume what the general public understands about government, but it's pretty much civics. You have a legislative body and they do work.
Well, that leads me into the question. Under civics, you have a legislative branch and you have an executive branch. Those are 2 of the branches that we have. One of them is judicial branch that we're before now in this case. But as to the executive and legislative branch, would you agree that commissioners are part of the legislative branch?
Yes.
And that as part of the legislative branch, the commission acts based on the majority vote from the commission. That's the way they act.
Yes.
And that no one commissioner can act on behalf of the commission, but unless it's a delegated ceremonial type job or authority. For instance, the chair has certain duties that over and above what the other commissioners have. But in terms of affecting spending county money, passing ordinances, doing other acts that are actions of Escambia County, they act as a whole.
I'm not sure that's a simple yes or no question.
Okay.
I think they have discretionary duties that they may partake in. Communication is one, communicating about public business, road closures, expansions, etc. I mean, just as simple examples. They have decided to create discretionary budgets. I don't know if that has to go in order for them to spend those monies, if they have to go back in front of the full board to get the majority vote to support those or not, or how discretionary they are. I don't know. But I do believe communicating with citizens about issues of public importance that goes before their office, before those items of county public business that they were elected to represent. I think they have the right to do that without having to go before the board to ask them for permission to get a majority vote to approve that communication.
Sure. So if Mr. Underhill decides to go to 10 town halls per year, he can go to 10 town halls per year. Sure. If Mr. Barry decides to go to 0 town hall meetings that year, he can decide to go to 0 town hall meetings that year.
Yes.
And some commissioners have Facebook pages and some don't. That'd be a fair statement.
Yes.
Jeff Bergosh, for example, has a Facebook page.
I think so, yes.
I don't think Stephen Barry does.
No, I don't think he does.
If I'm not mistaken.
He's still working on trying to get access to internet in his district. Broadband.
Would you agree that some commissioners are better at returning phone calls to constituents than others are, based on your experience?
Yes.
Some
return my phone calls faster than others.
and some maybe not at all. or maybe with the bare name, they always return your phone calls.
No, that's not true.
You mentioned road closures. Is there does a commissioner individually have the power to close a road?
No.
Does a commissioner individually, and you've attended the depositions in this case. I think you've been very attentive to every proceeding that's occurred here. But you heard Mr. Underhill testify that on this thing that's called discretionary spending, although money is set aside that commissioners have, quote, discretionary spending on, the commission as a whole has to vote to approve that spending.
That's what I was saying a moment ago. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But I have seen where, I have seen that where they do, when they spend it for different charities or approve the LET, I guess that's the sheriff's fund, the LET funds.
Are you aware of any power by any commissioner to spend public taxpayer dollars without the approval of the commission?
I don't believe so. The discretionary was the only thing that I was questioning.
Sure.
And now I recall that it's been on agendas that I've seen.
Right. And discretionary is kind of a term of art there, is that they can direct it, but it still has to be approved by the commission for what you've said. Any other area that a commissioner, are you aware of any area in which a commissioner can act solo, other than deciding where and how to communicate political ideas? Any other area in which a commissioner can act solo without the commission's approval on county business?
I don't know. I mean, are you asking me, have I ever seen that?
Yeah, have you ever seen, are you aware of that? Based on separation of powers between the legislative branch and the executive branch, what I'm trying to get into is does a legislator have executive authority in any area that you know of on the commission?
I don't believe they have executive authority.
Okay. And so another way of saying that, to your knowledge, that a commissioner does not have the authority to act for the county other than cast their vote to act for the county.
No, I believe that they can communicate issues of public importance.
Okay.
So I just want, when you said no,
Yeah, all
nothing,
right.
I want to make sure that that's
And that's
clear,
fair.
my opinion.
That's fair enough. I could have excluded that. Other than a commissioner deciding whether to attend 10 town hall meetings and speak hours and hours and hours and engage in public debate for hours and hours and hours or not. other than that discretion, are you aware of any area in which a commissioner can act on behalf of the county?
Other than the communication, whether written or verbal, in town halls, on social media, wherever, I think outside of that, I don't believe that they have, from my understanding, the ability to bind the county. I do know that they're assigned to different committees, and so therefore they're communicating a position. As an example, on the Tourist Development Council,
Right.
we have an appointed commissioner, the county commissioner appointed, commission appointed, the chairman appointed. Commissioner Bender was the previous, and Burgash is the current member of the TDC, and they
Right.
speak. They don't bind to the county, but they communicate the opinions and what they will bring back. But outside of communication, in their roles in these different boards and committees and their just general interactions, I don't know of any other thing.
Well, let's talk about communicating with constituents for a moment. Is there any single commissioner that through those communications can bind the county?
Not that I'm aware of that.
Or another way of putting that, just because Doug Underhill goes to a public forum and expresses an opinion, that doesn't mean it's the opinion of the Escambia County.
Correct.
It means it's Doug Underhill's opinion. Correct.
In his official, and from his official position as that elected official communicating about that, the county business, that's his opinion, yes.
Right. But
It's
it
not-
doesn't bind the county.
Correct.
And the same as if Mr. Underhill were to go to a public forum and decide who he's going to take questions from and not take questions from. That would be Mr. Underhill's individual decision. That would not, can I finish the question? That would not necessarily reflect the opinion of Escambia County.
Sorry.
Yeah, let me give you, sometimes putting it into tangible hypothetical, there was, and you read about this, I'm sure, but there was a member of the state legislature who went to a town hall meeting, and someone made a very inappropriate comment about gay people. It said, gee, some countries, they shovel on buildings. And that member of the state delegation laughed. Nervous chuckle was what he said later on, but he made a chuckle. Do you recall that controversy going on?
I don't.
Okay. The chuckle, however you might perceive the chuckle, was not an official act of the Florida legislature. Would you agree? I mean, that's
I would assume it's not.
okay. Are you aware of Mr. Underhill ever being authorized by the county commission to create a Facebook page?
Am I aware that the county commission did not authorize him? Is that what
No,
you're
so
saying?
the county authorized him to create a Facebook page.
No, I believe there was a policy that prohibited it.
All right. And you understand it was Mr. Underhill's position that that would have been a denial of his First Amendment rights for speech to deny him from having a Facebook page.
I do, and I agree with him.
Are you aware of the county commission ever authorizing Mr. Underhill to bind the county to his opinion on any subject?
Am I aware that the county commission? So, I'm
Leah,
sorry.
let me ask you another one. Is that, and I understand the questions are sometimes awkward, so forgive that and never
Yeah,
hesitate
no
to
worries.
ask me to rephrase it. Are you aware of the county commission ever authorizing Doug Underhill to speak for the county on any issue?
I'm not aware. I don't know whether they did or did not.
But you've never seen that. You've never seen such a vote saying, Mr. Underhill, you're authorized speak for the county on this particular issue.
I don't know. I mean, I believe there have been, from what I understand, when there's lawsuits between the county and other entities, groups, people, individuals, whatever, that if they go to mediation, that they're generally the chair or an appointed person goes to help with a settlement if they can, and they're authorizing that person to make decisions. I don't.
To bind the county?
I believe they've sent, there was a lawsuit between the county maybe and the bus union that I believe that they ended up settling at mediation. So for what I understand, I may be completely wrong. I may have misunderstood the whole thing, but that a member of the county commission was authorized to go make the settlement. I think the county commission may have authorized a settlement up to a certain amount. And as long as it was under that amount, that individual commissioner was authorized to make that. So.
You ever seen Doug Underhill being given that role? Mr. Underhill isn't particularly popular with the other commissioners. Would you agree?
I would agree with that currently, yes.
In fact, Mr. Underhill is quite often on the losing side of a 4-1 vote. You've seen that.
I think for the last probably 4 years, that's yes. I think prior to that, I think there was a lot more, geniality is the right term to use, but professionalism at the county commission, and there were less 4-1 votes than there have been for the last 4 years, and possibly could have been, to your previous question about authorizing him to take action for the board, could have happened before that. I just don't recall.
And I may be taxing your memory in this, and we have the transcript of it, I believe, but you remember the one-day evidentiary hearing we had before Judge Cannon?
Yes.
And do you recall Allison Rogers testifying at that hearing?
I remember the testimony.
And do you recall the question regarding, as the commission in her tenure ever authorized Doug Underhill to speak on their behalf? Do you recall that being asked to her?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't remember everything.
And well,
It was a full day.
none of us do. That's the reason we depend on court reporters. So I preface it by, you may or may not remember. Why don't we take a comfort break? We've been going for about an hour, 15 minutes now.
Okay.
Rick, we're gonna take a comfort break. That might be a good chance for you to get on the Zoom. If you wish.
I hear you. I will do it.
All right, thanks. Mr. Baird, just to kind of, so I have a really good handle on what your claims about, what your allegations are, is it your position that Mr. Underhill, through not accepting you as a friend on his, what I've called his personal page, and we've just said is the Underhill page, has violated your constitutional rights?
No, he blocked me from his page.
If he had not blocked you, but just not accepted you as his friend, would you deem that to be a violation of your constitutional rights?
On that page, no.
Okay. And you'd have a different answer on the Commissioner Underhill page.
I have a different answer for a different reason on the commissioner page, but on the Douglas Underhill page, not necessarily blocking me and just not accepting me as a friend could also possibly be a violation of my rights.
Okay. And if it's a violation of your rights, then would you agree that you're saying he doesn't have the right to not friend you on his Doug Underhill Facebook page?
That's not what I'm saying.
Wouldn't that be the flip side of it?
No, because there's specific reasons.
Okay, well, let me ask it a different way. Is it your view that Doug Underhill has the right to not accept you as a friend on his personal Doug Underhill page?
I believe he has the right not to accept me as a friend on the Douglas Underhill page, so long as he's not discussing county business and blocking my access to engage in that as an elected official, regardless of what page he puts it on.
Okay. Do you think that Doug Underhill has the right to discuss county business at a private dinner with friends?
Yes, that's not in writing. I think that's different.
Okay. Do you think that Doug Underhill has the right to send a letter to his son expressing his disagreement with another commissioner on a matter of county business?
I believe sending a letter to his son is different than creating a post on social media for the world to see, or limiting the access to see by blocking people or limiting its audience about county business. I think those are two different things. And so to answer your question, yes, he has the right to send a letter to his son about county business.
Do you think that Mr. Underhill would have a right to rent a billboard and post a political message on the billboard in Escambia County? Would he have that right?
I would think yes.
And if someone were to get a ladder and try to crawl up there to that billboard and write a rebuttal message on it, would you agree that they could be arrested for it?
I would imagine that would be vandalism, but I think that's different than a comment on social media. I
And
think a post on a social media is different than posting on a billboard. There
Okay.
is no possibility to respond to a billboard without damaging the billboard, right? Like you just described, spray painting or however, but creating a social media post to send out to the general public, to put in front of the public, anyone who has access to see it, is different. And when you limit the access, whether it's blocking or limiting the audience of who can see it, I believe is different.
well, you mentioned earlier, and this is something that Mr. Underhill also testified to, is that Facebook doesn't give you the ability to create a page and allow no comment to the page. Did I understand that's your understanding of Facebook? You can't, for example, well, let's take a concrete on the Doug Underhill, Commissioner Doug Underhill page. You're not aware of any ability that Mr. Underhill would have had to have said, no one can comment, no way, no how on that page.
I believe he had the ability for no one to comment so long as he did not tag anyone in his post. As long as he doesn't tag you in his post, he makes a post. He says a bunch of stuff about county business, and he tags you in the post. That gives you the right to comment in the post, and only you. If he chose not to tag you, then he chose not to allow anyone to comment, and no one could comment.
Okay. Would you deem that if he had chose not to allow anybody to comment, and he chose to have it as a one-way communication, would you deem that to be a violation of your civil rights?
If he chose to allow no one to comment, is that what you asked? Is that your question?
If he set up his page where no one could comment, no way, no how, one-way communication, he'd make a post about county business, but no one else could comment, kind of like the billboard. Would you deem that to be a violation of your civil rights?
Yes. No.
Okay.
He didn't do that. He allows for comments. He filters out specific words. So he's created a scenario to allow you and me to be able to comment about the topic or anything that we wanted to, specifically about a county business topic that he might have created. And you and I could have back and forth dialogue but we may not be able to engage, or JJ may not be able to engage in our dialogue to have this open discussion about government, to redress our government.
As a result of decisions that are made by constituents, i.e. who their circle of friends are and who their circle of friends is not.
By the nature of the filtering words.
Well, the filtering words, can you devise a post that would not have any of those filtering words in there?
Probably, yes, but I don't try to, because I didn't create a post without those words.
Are you aware of any,
filter words?
you're aware of anyone who looks at those filtering words and tries to develop a post that can get through filter?
Two things. One, he hasn't publicized the list. We only have access to it through our discovery that we've gotten through the downloads. Number two, I have seen comments that get through that people I'm not friends with that do not have those words, and some that actually do have those words. And we've received that through our public records request.
And we went over some of those, what we'll call posts that escape the filter. We went over some of those during Mr. Underhill's deposition. Do you recall those?
Yes.
And many, if not most of those were critical of Mr. Underhill. Would you agree?
I don't recall exactly what they were, but I would imagine there are a lot of comments that are critical.
And they got through the filter.
But some of them did. There were some that were not critical that also got through.
Okay. So the fact that some that were critical got through and some that were not critical got through, would that indicate to you that the filter was not intended to screen out unfavorable comments, but it was intended to screen out all comments?
Object form, speculation, and as to time too. When are you talking about the items that were allegedly filtered? Because there was a period that was not filtered.
Your objections noted. You can answer. You have
No.
some questions. And you do not, you believe that the screening words were designed to filter out unfavorable comments?
Yes.
And you base that on just your review of the is and but and all the other words that were in the filtering words?
I believe the filtering words were put in place to filter out, to separate comments to different sects, different friends, S-E-C-T. I'll make sure I was not saying men versus women, but separate groups. And so that only the friends could see the comments that friends were making on those posts that had used those words. So that it separated the dialogue to different opinionated minds, separate groups of people. And sometimes when words or comments get through that have those words, I don't believe that the filter has failed. I think there has been some action that has caused them to get through, not a filter, because the filter is a computer that works. It continues to work. I get on there and I see many, many comments listed. As an example, 30 comments on a post, and I can see 2 or 3 or sometimes 10. I don't see all 30. And sometimes those are people that I'm friends with. Sometimes those are people I'm not friends with. Sometimes seldom do they have a word that is on that list, but I don't know when he created the list, how he's added to the list, how he's subtracted to the list. And so different times there might be a post that has congratulations spelled with a D on there. That word may not have been on the list at the time it got through. It might have been added later. I don't know.
Some of your posts got through, didn't they?
I can see them because I made the comment, and all my friends can see them because I made the comment, regardless of whether they use the word or not. So they all comments get through to the administrator of the page. He sees them all.
And what evidence, if any, do you have that the administrator of the page has allowed comments to be posted that had screening words in them? What evidence do you have of that? That some did?
Wait.
I mean, is
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Okay, what evidence do you have that Mr. Underhill looks at the comments and decides to put some of them on his page and some of them not? on his Doug Underhill page.
Oh,
I mean, not Doug Underhill page, I mean Doug Underhill Commissioner page.
Commissioner page. What evidence do I have that he puts in what words he chose to put into the
No,
filter?
no.
Okay, I don't understand.
What evidence do you have that Mr. Underhill sees the comments and lets favorable posts through, but not unfavorable posts through?
Oh, I don't know whether he has done that or not.
Okay. What evidence do you have that Mr. Underhill looks at those comments and he specifically screens out your comments, even if they didn't include one of the filter words?
Are we talking about the commissioner page?
Yeah, Commissioner.
I have no idea whether he does that or not. I don't know whether he puts in filter words based on what I've posted
Mhm.
in my comments that I've made on his posts, or if he just uses generic words. I don't know why he would use congratulations with both a T and then the incorrect spelling with a D. I can't assume or speculate on why he does what he does.
Some of the posts that we saw that got through were in all caps. Do you recall that? Do you know one way or the other whether Facebook, if you're trying to screen words, if you want to screen posts that have all caps, you have to use not only small I and small t, you have to use capital I and capital T. And you have to put every form of lowercase, uppercase that you can think of to get it to screen every hit. You know, it would have to be spelled lowercase I, lowercase t, uppercase I, lowercase t, uppercase I, uppercase t to screen all hits. Do you know whether that's the case or not?
I do not know whether that's the case or
Do
not.
you know whether Facebook, you can come up with means and methods for bypassing the filters through, for example, block saving and putting it into the form of a photograph and then posting it?
So I understand what you're saying. Let me
Sure.
try to repeat it. So you're asking, do I understand whether or not an individual, like as an example, me, if I wanted a comment to get through, that I could make it into like a picture, screenshot it or something, and post that as a comment without actual words? Is that what you're
Sure.
asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I believe you probably could do that, but I don't know that for sure if words and images are also filtered.
You don't know one way or the other.
I could, there are a lot of, I guess they call those memes, you know, a photograph with words and other things in them. They
Right.
get that Facebook filters out based on content. Says it goes against, I've seen where that goes, it's been removed because it's gone against, you know, their, whatever their parameters are.
Right.
So maybe the words and the images can also be filtered. I don't know how that works on an individual's page or not.
Okay. Just to make sure we know what we're talking about here, I just took a picture of something that's on Fox News feed there. And if I were to try to share that on Facebook, do you know whether Facebook would be able to screen out that that post on Facebook based on the content of the words when I sent it in a photograph form? Do you know?
I do not know, but I have seen where Facebook removes images based on violations of their policies, their procedures.
Mhm.
I don't know whether it's because of the words or the pictures. And I don't know how that works interacting back to the topic of Commissioner Underhill's page with the filter words, if those filters will work with an image or not. I don't know.
You're not an expert on Facebook's algorithms and means and methods for screening or allowing things through. Would that be a fair statement?
I am not an expert. I'm a user. I use it actively.
And do you intend to put on any expert testimony on that subject?
I do not personally.
The X1, do you know where that company is located and who your contact person was?
No.
Okay. And that was a compound question, but you know where they're located?
No.
And did you have contact with any person from Excellent?
I don't believe I had direct. I might have been on a conference call, but I don't remember speaking.
Do you recall any names of the persons that you spoke with? Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. I thought you'd be pleasantly surprised.
Oh, sure.
As long as we reserve for.
It's about a 5 minute. I don't think I have anything, but still measure.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Stop.
Thank you.
We don't have anything.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you.